What is up, everyone? This is Core Graphics here, and today we are actually not in Cinema 4D. We're actually in Adobe Photoshop CS6, and what we're going to be going over is some motion graphics to add to your YouTube videos. So let's get right into it. First thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to create like a button type of thing, I guess. And I'm just going to make this black. And I'm not really going to go in detail with the whole button thing because it's just for the sake of the tutorial. So we'll just call this subscribe. So why not right there? Make that white so that way everyone can see it. Might help if we change the font of that. Might help if we make it a little bigger. Just about. And maybe we can center it. Okay. Alright, so we got our little subscribe text right in there, right in our little bubble thingy button. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to rasterize our text and then click on both layers, and you want to go to link layers, and then after you do that, now you can move one layer and it moves the other. Alright, so next thing you want to do is you want to position where you want your text, well, where you want your little graphic to come out at. Typically, I'll set guides for this. Let's see, subscribe, it comes all the way out there. And I don't want all my bubble to show because I'm not a nudist and I like clothing for my bubble. So I'll just drag my guide out there, and I want to place it somewhere convenient. So I'll place it right at the top. Give it a little space. Drag that down a little further and drag that one right there. Alrighty, so now that we got our little graphic right here, let's animate it, shall we? So first thing we're going to want to do is, since we're in Adobe Photoshop CS6, you'll notice that animation is not up here, but instead it's right down here where it says timeline. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to create video timeline, and it's going to give us this right here. And we're going to convert that into frames, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to click on this little arrow, and we're going to click no delay, so that when we go to render it out, everything works out just fine and smooth. So with our first frame, we want to set our position to where we want our little graphic to be. So just going to drag that back there out of sight. Going to make a new frame, take our same graphic, drag it right out there. And so if we click on the two frames, gone here, gone here. Now you're probably wondering, how can I make that more smooth? Well, what we can do is we can tween the frames. So what you'll do is you will click on first frame, and then you'll shift click on the second frame. You're going to go to these three little dots right here, and that's where you can tween the frames. And depending on how smooth you want it to be, that's completely up to you. I generally tween 10 frames, but let's see, if we're running at 30 frames per second, I'll just go 30. So that way it'll take 1 second for everything, well, for our little bubble button to come right on in. And if I hit play, there it is, coming right in there. Now granted, it's playing slow in Adobe Photoshop, but when you actually go to render this out, it's going to be much faster than that. And now, since you want to put this on your YouTube video, you're going to want to duplicate that last frame, and then right down here, this is going to be how long you want that frame to stay. So if you want it to stay 1 second, you would choose that, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. That's completely up to you. But I'm just going to go ahead and choose 5 seconds. So let me run that back. Things looking fine. And as you can see, it's stuck on that last frame, and it's going to be like that for 5 seconds, and then it would generally cycle over if I had it on forever. But when you export it out, that's the end of the animation, where you would want to smoothen out that transition of the graphic right here maybe fading out, or if you want, you could reverse it. That's completely up to you. But now that we got our graphic out the way and all animated, it's time to export it. So you're going to want to go to File, and then you're going to want to go to Export, and then go to Render Video. And it says initializing, video export, yada yada yada. Almost getting there, just about. Computer's freezing up, there we are. Alright, and now make sure you follow this to the T, or otherwise it's not going to work out and you're going to have a gigantic black background where you don't want it, instead of having it transparent. So to keep the transparency of this background right here, you're going to want to make sure that QuickTime is selected. And then of course you want all frames, and then alpha channel. When you first look at it, it's going to be on none, but you're going to change that to straight unmatted. And then everything else, that's completely up to you, what you want to name it, before you want it, yada yada. Let's see, we got the quality of it. I always keep it on animation high quality. Let's see, yeah, as I was talking about earlier, 30 frames per second. And then this is the size of the document, which since this is a 720p video, we're gonna obviously have a 720p animation, so that way it fits everything like the way it's supposed to. So everything's all said and done. We're gonna go ahead, hit render. And right now it is rendering out those frames. It could take a little bit just depending on how many frames you have in the animation. There it is, right there. So that's rendering out. And then right after this renders out, I'm going to take it to Adobe Premiere Pro, and then I'll show you that if you did everything correctly, what it should look like. So I will see you guys in Premiere Pro. Alrighty, and here we are in Premiere Pro, and I just got a video file right here. Just gonna drag and drop that. Let me take out the audio, so let me unlink. I'll skip up a bit, and let me resize this so that way you can see that our little graphic works out the way that we want it to. Alrighty. And this untitled2.mov, that's the graphic that I exported out from Photoshop. And we're just going to drag that into our timeline. And just zoom in on that. And now you don't see anything right here, but as we progress, there's a little graphic right there. So if I was to play that, hopefully it'll work on me. If not, then this thing just hates me, or I just need a new computer. So let's try that one more time. There we are. Came out just like that, just the way we want it to. So that is how to create motion graphics in Adobe Photoshop CS6 Ion Core Graphics. And I shall see you guys in the next video. Take care, guys.